What's going on, everyone? Model Deer Farmer back with you here today on the channel, and today we're going to be doing a look at the first round results from Model Tractor Madness. We had 128 tractors in the first round. 64 of them move into the next round, so we're going to take a look at the results today. In the first game, we had the John Deere 720 falling short to the Ford 846 Versatile 64 to 36%. In game 2, the John Deere Model 6070 set version takes the win over the Case International 2594 56 to 44%. Over in the third game, we have the Waterloo Boy taking the win over the John Deere 8RX 410 53 to 47% in a very close game. The fourth game, we have the Case IH 715 taking the win over the John Deere Model A70 set 59 to 41. This one was one that was very close the whole entire time. The John Deere was even leading part of the time. The Case comes back, wins this one to move on to the next round. In the fifth game, we have the Versatile 580 taking the win over the AGCO DT 225 79 to 21%. And then this one, crazy game, sixth game, we had the John Deere 5020 take the win over the John Deere 9470 RX 69 to 31%. The 5020 was down at the beginning, making a lot of people think, will the two-time champ not even make it into the second round? But it came back. It was down for a long time, came back, commanding win over the 9RX. In game 7, we have the John Deere 4450 Prestige, which was the other tractor in the championship match last year, and taking on the International 1066 5 millionth gold version. It won it 78 to 22%, but this one was also down for a long time too, even tied with the International for the longest time, and comes out, pulls off the commanding win to move on to the next round. In the eighth game, we have the John Deere 8330 built by Carter Bankin that takes the very big lead and win over the John Deere 8R 370 84 to 16%. In the game 9, we have the John Deere 9620R taking the win over the John Deere 7250R 79 to 21%. In the 10th game, we have the New Holland T6 180 that fell short to the John Deere 6400 68 to 32%. In the 11th game, it was the John Deere 8960 taking the win over the Case IH MX 135 80 to 20%. In the 12th game, we have the John Deere 8370R taking the win over the New Holland T8 435 half track 71 to 29%. Kind of a closer game here. In the 13th game, the John Deere 8560 taking on the 8370R Dusty version 64-36%, with the 8560 coming out on top. Over in the 14th game, we have the John Deere 4430 Duals version taking the win over the John Deere 730 70 sets 80% to 20. In the 15th game, we have the John Deere 8870 taking the win over the Massey Ferguson 8270 81 to 19%. In the 16th game, we have the John Deere 7530 that takes the win over the Frolic Tractor 70 set 76 to 24%. Then in the 17th game, we have the 8130 John Deere 8130 taking the win over the John Deere 7800 71 to 29%. In the 18th game, the John Deere 8345 RT takes the win over the John Deere 9RX 640 63 to 37%. In the 19th game, the John Deere 8530 takes the win over the New Holland T9 600 Smart Tracks 71 to 29%. In the 20th game, the John Deere 9R 540 pulls off the win against the 9570 RX 64 to 36%. In the 21st game, the John Deere Model 70 takes the win over the John Deere 7R 330 55 to 45%. For this 22nd game, the John Deere Crawler takes the win over the John Deere Model A Unstyled version 69 to 31%. In the 23rd game, the John Deere 4850 pulls off the win against the Kinsey Big Blue 640 60 to 40%. Over in the 24th game, the John Deere 4440 takes the win over the 8630 in a very close matchup, which ends up coming out at 51 to 49%. Very close matchup there the whole time. 4440 just edging out the 8630. In the 25th game, the John Deere 730 diesel takes the win over the John Deere 8RT 410, 61 to 39%. In the 26th game, we have the John Deere 8345R that's going to take the win over the John Deere 6210R at 81 and 19%. In the 27th game, the John Deere Sound Idea 70 set model takes the win over the John Deere 8420 European Edition, 62 to 38%. In the 28th game, the John Deere 4430 takes the win over the Case Traction 65 horsepower steam engine, 71 to 29%. In game 29, the John Deere 9620T takes the win over the John Deere Model A styled, 76 to 24%. 30th game, the Oliver 1755 taking the win over the John Deere 6220, 71 to 29%. The 31st game, the John Deere 8530 built by Carter Benkin takes the win over the New Holland T7030, 87 to 13%. Very high, big lead by the 8530 in that one. In the 32nd game, the Allis-Chalmers D21 takes the win over the Minneapolis Moline G940, 74 to 26%. Another close matchup here in the 33rd game, the John Deere 8650 takes out the win against the John Deere 8320, 54 to 46%. In the 34th game, the International 826 pulls off the win against the John Deere 8RX 410 Farm Show version, 60 to 40%. In the 35th game, we have the John Deere 820 that's going to take the win over the John Deere 8370 RT, 64 to 36%. In the 36th game, John Deere 7310R takes the lead over the Fendt 1050 Vario with a 61 to 39% win. In the 37th game, we have the John Deere 4020 Duals that beat the John Deere 8200, 67 to 33%. In the 38th game, the John Deere Model D styled version takes the win over the John Deere 7280R in a 69 to 31% win. In the 39th game, the International 1066 takes the win over the John Deere 630, 69 to 31%. In the 40th game, the John Deere 9510R takes the win over the Versatile 365, 62 to 38%. In game 41, we have the John Deere 9570R that's going to take the win over the New Holland T8 435 Corduroy version, 80 to 20%. In the next game, game 42, John Deere 4450 pulling off the win against the New Holland T8 435, 86 to 14%. In the game 43, we have the John Deere 4020 with cab taking on the John Deere 4010 from the 70 set, and it's going to get the win, 83 to 17%. In game 44, we have the Steiger Cougar KM280 taking on the New Holland T7 235, which the Steiger Cougar is going to win 82 to 18%. In game 45, we have the 9430 taking the win over the John Deere 8310R, 74 to 26%. In game 46, we have the Ford 8970 taking the win over the Case IH 150, 63 to 37%. In game 47, the co-op implements Panther 2 pulls off the win against the Ford 8240, 74 to 26%. In game 48, the John Deere 9560R pulls off the big win against the Kloss Xerion 5000 with 89 to 11%. In game 49, we have the Case IH 380 AFS taking the win over the International 1466 Puller, 71 to 29%. In game 50, we have the Challenger MT685E that's going to take the win over the John Deere Model G styled version, 61 to 39%. In game 51, the John Deere 8400 is going to pull off the win against the New Holland T9600 Blue Camo version, 81 to 19%. For game 52, the John Deere 7130 is going to take the win over the John Deere 7270R, 57 to 43%. In game 53, the John Deere 8850 is going to take the win over the John Deere 9560R, 58 to 42%. In game 54, the International 1456 is going to take the win over the John Deere Soundguard, 78 to 22%. In game 55, the John Deere 4760 is going to take the win over the Massey Ferguson 8737, 78 to 22%. Game 56, we have the John Deere 7630 that takes the win over the John Deere 8320R, 56 to 44%. In Game 57, we have the John Deere 8R410 by Carter Bankin that is going to take the win over the Ford 8N Red version, 79 to 21%. In Game 58, we have the John Deere 4010 taking the win over the Ford 8N Blue version, 79 to 21%. For Game 59, we have the John Deere 7230R that's going to take the win over the John Deere Model G unstyled version, 74 to 26%. In Game 60, we have the John Deere 4960 that's going to take the win over the Case IH 340 half-track version, 73 to 27%. For Game 61, we have the John Deere 9620 that's going to take the win over the New Holland T6 180, 87 to 13%. In the 62nd game, we have the Waterloo Boys 70 set that's going to take the win over the Massey Ferguson 8680, 69 to 31%. In Game 63, we have the John Deere 8530 Farm Show that's going to take the win over the John Deere Model D unstyled version, 77 to 23%. And our final game to wrap up the first round of action here in Model Tractor Madness, we have the John Deere 4230 that's going to take the win over the John Deere Model H, 70 to 30%. Thank you to everyone who voted in this first round of Model Tractor Madness, and we will get going here with the next round. It will start Monday morning, the 24th of March at 7 a.m. We will run 24th and 25th of March for the second round. Same kind of time schedule, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Those 2 days is what we did for the first round, just only 2 days instead of 4 days. So make sure to vote for those. Thank you everyone for voting in these. But those were the results. Stay tuned for the next round, and thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like. Also consider subscribing to the channel. Have any comments or questions, leave those down in the comment section below. But thank you all for watching. See y'all in the next one, and happy voting in Model Tractor Madness.